Gary Johnson was on Morning Joe, and he was asked a question about foreign policy that revealed that he may not know as much as his voters or supporters think he knows on foreign policy. Let's take a quick look.
What would you do if you were elected about Aleppo?
About?
Aleppo.
And what is Aleppo?
You're kidding.
No.
Aleppo is in Syria. It's the epicenter of the refugee crisis.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Okay.
Well, with regard to Syria, I do think that it's a mess. I think that the only way that we deal with Syria is to join hands with Russia to diplomatically bring that at an end.
Now, fortunately, Gary Johnson is not alone in not knowing what Aleppo is. There have been other presidential candidates who had similar issues. Let's take a look.
So you agreed with President Obama on Libya or not?
Okay, Libya. President Obama supported the uprising, correct? President Obama called for the removal of Gaddafi. Just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing before I say, yes, I agreed, I know I didn't agree. I do not agree with the way he handled it for the following reason. No, that's a different one. I got to go back and see. Got all this stuff twirling around in my head.
Oh, that was so painful to watch.
No, that never gets old. 999, that is not the correct answer. Herman Cain, blast from the past. Okay, see, by comparison, Gary Johnson's answer, not so bad, not so bad. Okay, so everybody's all over Gary Johnson today. I'm going to make a defense.
Ooh.
Okay, now, should people running for president know Aleppo, or in the case of Herman Cain, Libya? Yes, of course they should. That's obviously true. By the way, should you know Aleppo? No, Aleppo is the second largest city in Syria. I know that there's a civil war there, but if you're a plumber or a dentist, you're like, Aleppo, what name so? You know, it's not in the news that much, and you have no obligation to know all the nitty-gritty of foreign policy. And so, yeah, that's true. But now, context. First of all, is there any chance that Donald Trump knows Aleppo?
That doesn't matter, though. Okay,
no,
look,
it matters a lot.
It does matter overall for this election, right? But you know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of finding faults with one candidate, and then immediately everyone's like, oh yeah, well Donald Trump does this, or oh yeah, Hillary Clinton does that. Like, for instance, when we're criticizing Donald Trump, we're criticizing Donald Trump, okay? Don't come back at us with, well, did you know that Hillary Clinton? Shut up, okay? Like, we're talking about, we criticize both of them, okay? And so can we just focus on what we're talking about in that moment? So yeah, Donald Trump is a moron. But in this case, if Gary Johnson is running around talking about how he's qualified to be the next president of the United States, he should know what Aleppo is.
So let me agree with you in part, because look, here's the thing. We know all that stuff because we care. We care about the news, we're interested in it, and so we know the difference between Shia and Sunni, et cetera, because we cover it every day. And if you're running for president, we hope that you feel the same way, that you actually care about it, and hence that's why you know it. But a lot of them don't. A lot of them, it's a vanity project. And so to them, it's like a pop quiz, but a really hard one, because you got to know domestic policy, you got to know foreign policy, you got to know every policy, you got to know every city. And so like when they go, Libya, right? And Aleppo, what name so, right? So I can't feel too bad for them, because then don't run for president. So that's all the parts that I agree with you on. But I think that people flipping out over Gary Johnson right now is a little unfair, because they don't do the same to Trump. So, and they are running against one another. And I think part of what's annoying me about that is that not, oh yeah, no, you can't criticize him. I'm happy to criticize Gary Johnson, and I have many times in the past. It's that there's this disdain from the mainstream media for any independence. So the minute Gary Johnson makes a mistake, they're all over him. Again, if you're going to do the same to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, bravo. Yes, be tough journalists, right? But what Trump will come out there and say, you know, we're losing jobs like babies. And people aren't like, what, babies? What does that mean? What? Then ask Trump about Aleppo. Ask him about, I mean, look, they didn't even do it to McCain. McCain didn't, when he was running for president as late as 2008, and his whole thing is, I know foreign policy. That's his whole claim to fame. Didn't know the difference between the Sunni and the Shia. In the middle of a press conference, Joe Lieberman had to go whisper in his ear and correct him. Oh, that was so embarrassing. But they didn't do this.
Yeah.
They didn't flip out like this. So
Look,
that's why I'm saying the reaction is relevant.
Yeah, look, you're right about that. But I wouldn't want the reaction toward Gary Johnson to change. I would want the reaction toward Donald Trump to change.
Oh, agreed.
Right?
We have a deal.
Okay,
we have a deal.
I think that the hard question should be asked to every candidate. I think that follow-up questions should be included in every interview as soon as the candidate doesn't have any detailed answers and immediately pivots to attacking their opponent, right? And by the way, look, I'm not saying, like, let's go after one candidate and ignore all the faults of the other candidate. I'm saying that each candidate has significant downfalls, and you have to focus on the matter at hand, right? If you immediately minimize the faults of one candidate because the other candidate also has faults, well, then you just distract from real information that'll make you an informed voter, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. A lot of people despise Hillary Clinton. A lot of people despise Trump. But the second you come across a story that, you know, argues against one of the candidates and you just dismiss it because you hate another candidate, I just feel like you're hurting yourself in being a knowledgeable voter.
Okay, so let me give one more upside and downside to Gary Johnson, and then I'll tell you why this is actually really good news for him, which, again, is counterintuitive, I get. So my weakest defense of him is that, well, to be fair, he doesn't really want to be in Syria. He's a libertarian. He's like, we shouldn't be there in the first place, so I shouldn't have to know what Aleppo is.
Yeah. So he did write out a statement. He says, this morning I began my day by setting aside any doubt that I'm human. Yes, I understand the dynamics of the Syrian conflict. I talk about them every day. But hit with, what about Aleppo, I immediately was thinking about an acronym, not the Syrian conflict. I blanked. It happens, and it will happen again during the course of this campaign. Can I name every city in Syria? No. Should I have identified Aleppo? Yes. Do I understand its significance? Yes.
See, I love that. That's what Hillary Clinton cannot do. Just be human for a second and go, hey, man, I screwed that up. Of course I should have known what Aleppo was, and I blanked at that moment. And that's on me, and I don't want to take it lightly. I think you should know what Aleppo is. I think that's a great answer. It makes him human. So now, by the way,
I think that, no, he did not know what Aleppo was. He did not think it was an acronym. He lied. He also lied, okay? I think overall the answer was okay, but there was a line in there about how he thought it was an acronym. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Don't lie about that.
Okay, I don't know about that part. Mark Halperin also caught him in the hallway and asked him more questions. Boy, he bungled those.
Yeah.
The ending of that was not good for Gary Johnson when he said, well, I have to get smarter. And that's just part of the process.
You're running for president. You're running for president.
No, that was not the right way to say it. It was inartfully put. And he had a bad morning. But I'm going to argue that it was actually a good morning. So why? Because we're now talking about Gary Johnson. His number one problem is that nobody talks about Gary Johnson. No matter how well he does in the polls, they won't give him any kind of airtime. So they gave him airtime. He made a mistake, but now everybody's Gary Johnson, Gary Johnson, Gary Johnson. The more we talk about him, the better off he is. So actually, he should be celebrating today. And I thought his answer, if people saw it, a lot of people at home are going to go, I don't know what Aleppo is either.
Yeah.
I think I kind of like this guy.
That's a good point.
So I actually think at the end of the day, it's a win for Gary Johnson. Young Turks membership.
I can't tell you how good that feels and how good that tastes.
Find out. TYTnetwork.com/join.